Do you know that we can use a fraction to describe parts of a whole? Look at Dina's flower garden. It has 5 parts. What fraction represents the part of her garden with sampaguita flowers? 3/5. What about the fraction that represents the part of her garden with roses? 2/5. We can also use fractions to describe parts of a group. Look at these 10 animals. What fraction represents the part of the group of dogs? What fraction represents the part of the group of monkeys? We have here another example. Observe this figure. Write the fraction representing the shaded squares. The shaded squares are 3/9 or 1/3 of all the squares. These fractions are classified as proper fractions because the denominator is greater than the numerator. Now, looking at the same figure, let's get to know the fraction that represents the part of the unshaded squares. The unshaded squares are 6/9 or 2/3 of the total squares. Now let's look at another fraction. Let's get to know the fraction for the shaded regions. It's 5/9. Let's look at the same figure. Write the fraction for the unshaded portion. The unshaded portion is 4/9 of the total number of squares. Here's another figure. Let's look closely and write the fraction representing the shaded squares. It's 4/4 or 1. All the 4 squares are shaded. Write the fraction representing the unshaded squares in this figure. 3/4 represents the unshaded squares. Look at these 2 circles. Adding them up, we get 4/3. It shows that the numerator 4 is greater than the denominator 3. When the numerator is greater than the denominator, the fraction is classified as improper fraction. You can transform this fraction into a mixed number by simply dividing the numerator by the denominator. In our example, 1 1/3 is called a mixed number because it has both a whole number and a fraction. Here's another figure for you to practice finding the improper fraction and the mixed number. 7/2 is an improper fraction, and if you change it into a mixed number, it becomes 3 1/2. Now you know how to recognize fractions in different forms such as proper fraction, improper fraction, and fraction in mixed form.